Hello and welcome to our webinar on visual merchandising. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. My name is Nirbhay Rana and I'm Head of Fashion Department at Buddha Group of Institution, Karnal. Today we are presenting webinar on visual merchandising presented by Debbie Flowerday. She is an expert having vast experience of teaching visual merchandising at London School of Fashion. She has joined us all the way from London. Before we start, a little housekeeping. I request all the participants, please put your mics on mute mode so that we can hear Debbie clearly. And if you have any queries, please note it down. We will have query round at the end of the presentation.
Good to see each other. I just want to start off with, I'll give you a little bit of background about what I've done and how I started. And then just work through that. So I have been in the industry now for, well, quite a long time, over like 40 years. I started off during that time, you would work with an apprenticeship. So I worked 3 years in a store. And during that time, you learn absolutely everything there is to know about visual merchandising. During that time, it used to be called display. So we were the display department. And our job was windows and the interior of the store. I just want to say, just stop me, anybody who, if you can't understand, if I'm speaking too fast or like that, just flag me, let me know. So this 3-year experience was fantastic. So we did it wasn't just fashion. So display is not just about just fashion. It's the knowledge it's on prop design, how to handle fabrics. So it's a little bit like anything that you study. If you study music or any of these subjects, you have to understand the basics before you can go on to do the wild and wonderful things. So that was what I did for 3 years. It was working with seniors and learning all the trades, from wiring to styling, all of these things. And then after that, then I was free to go on to other stores. I worked in central London for Miss Selfridge at Selfridges. And from there, I worked in the homeware. I worked for a company called Heels, which is like Terence Conran. So I did from fashion and homeware. And then once you've gained all this knowledge, then I became freelance. I always say to people, don't do a job because of the money. Do it because you love it. And if you love what you do, then comes the rewards later on because you're so passionate about what you do. So I had my own business for quite a few years, with all different clients, fashion, homeware. And because visual merchandising is such So because we're such a transferable skill, there's so many other things you can work in. So for example, if you have the training of a visual merchandiser, you work for exhibitions and styling for magazines. The knowledge goes on and on. So then after working freelance for many years, I went away and I travelled a lot, working for different companies from the Middle East to into Malaysia, America, and the British. I'm just going to, shall I just mute you? So mute some of it. I'm getting a lot of sound coming back. Okay.
I have a request to all participants. Please put your mics on off. Can you please put your mics off so that we can hear Debbie more clearly?
Yes.
I appreciate. I really appreciate if you put your mics off.
I mean, not his family.
Please put your mics off so that we can hear Debbie. Well, Debbie, I muted all. Please unmute yourself before you start.
Okay, can you hear? Yep. Back
Yeah,
on
yeah,
track.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So basically, after all this training, I was freelance, and then I travelled to different countries. Coming back, I felt so passionate about the industry, which is not as good as it used to be, especially here in London. There's a lot of people working in visual merchandising who are not necessarily very good. So I had that passion. So I decided that I would teach it. So I'm freelance now for London College of Fashion, Chelsea College of Art, and Central St Martin's. And this is all different display techniques, taking students from the beginning right the way through, and they have to design their own window and store. So this is what I do now. So if you have any questions further on that, please, anything else you would like to know about the industry generally? Should I talk to you about that in general, how it is here in London, UK? So here in the UK, I think what we've lost here in the UK is the excitement of the industry. I mean, it's very controlled now by a lot of the too many people get involved. I think any job that you do is creative. A lot of people want to get involved, and I think the secret to any business is allow people to do the jobs that they're trained in. There's we have a lot of interference, which is affecting us here. And so anything else that you want to, any questions that you have on subject?
Anybody
No? Yeah.
having any query, please ask.
So.
Okay, Ravi, let me start. Tell me what is the importance of color combination when we design a window, and how much it is important, like, to attract customers.
Well,
The role of
okay, well, the day-to-day. So, for example, if I'm working for, say, a fashion store, I've been asked to dress the window of a high street fashion store. Most important thing is that I understand their brand. I understand what they're about. I understand their customer. Who's their customer? Are they young? Are they older? What will attract them? And then you come up with a window scheme. So just a mannequin on its own in a window is not enough. We need to the idea is to attract the customer. We have like 2 seconds to stop the customer, to get them to stop and then come into the store. So we look at the merchandise, really look at it and think, well, what can I design? What prop can I design? Prop meaning whether it be a tree or anything. What can I use to attract the attention of the customer? So say, for example, the new collection you have is of a beautiful pattern. So you look at that and you think, well, what can I do from that? So say if the pattern has beautiful flowers, for example, and you think, okay, I'm going to make a prop. I'm going to take that pattern and I'm going to enhance it and make a beautiful prop behind the mannequin, which links through to what they're wearing. Most important thing is the colour, is you link colours through. It's no use having a fantastic prop and then the merchandise is a completely different colour. You work everything as a whole. And then it's all about training the customer's eye to where you want it to go. So, for example, we have techniques that we use, grouping of mannequins, so you get to see everything very quickly. So it's all about that kind of harmony. So windows normally would be changed about every 3 months. A window scheme would be changed every 3 months. So you'd think of another idea in 3 months' time. But the actual merchandise will be changed probably every week in the window. But making sure, again, whatever product you put in complements your window scheme. So everybody thinks that display's easy. They say, oh, you just go into a window, dress a mannequin. It's more than that. Dressing a mannequin, the first thing you do is you pick your merchandise and then you make sure it's pressed beautifully. It's the tension, because windows expose everything. So if your garment's creased or anything like that, it will show because of the brightness of the window. So everything has to be absolutely perfectly pressed and prepared before it goes inside. and things like a normal window, for example, when we do what we call a scheme change, you would go into the window, you would strip the window out, take the floors up and paint the walls, recover the floors, depending on what colour your scheme is. So it's not just about dressing a mannequin, it's the whole preparation. Lighting is extremely important, so we change the lighting, so we do the flooring. Mannequins, perhaps may have new mannequins. Mannequins might have been renovated, so mannequins often are sent off to be resprayed and prepared for the next scheme, so it works with all the colours and everything work together. So it's not just about dressing a window, dressing a mannequin, it's so much more and so much preparation. And lots of jobs come out of what we do. We have people that do prop design, they just make props. They have people that work on the mannequins, mannequin producers who do wigs, makeup, all of this. Carpenters, there's lots and lots of different jobs come out of this work. So it's not just about a simple dress a window and that's it, it's a lot more. So, chats. Any questions so far?
Anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to ask,
Sir, good morning, ma'am.
Hello.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello.
Myself, Vanshika Sharma. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Sorry. Ma'am, I have to ask one question. Is that which type of window display is appropriate for the good display? Is it open window or an arcade window?
Well, this I would suggest if you have a beautiful store that when you look through is very stylish, very beautiful architecture within the store, then an open back window looking onto the store is very attractive. If not, I would recommend the window to have a back on it, because it stops the customer seeing any workings behind the scenes. Sometimes you see a window and it's open back and it's not well laid out on the interior, so it just looks a mess. So it's better, I think, mainly unless you have an exceptionally beautiful design interior of your store that's quite minimal, I would suggest you have a back on your window.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the suggestions.
Okay, I got one more question. So I am actually preparing to become a fashion designer, and I've got an opportunity to work as a visual merchandiser for a year in a company named Bestseller, if you're aware of Bestseller.
Is it a Spanish store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would a career in visual merchandising or working as a visual merchandiser for a year or so help a fashion designer in the long run?
So you want to work in VM? You want to work in the industry?
Initially, I've got an opportunity, but then my ultimate goal is to become a fashion designer, of course. So how would this benefit, or is it relevant, or is it something which is totally irrelevant for a person given the opportunity to work?
Well, the thing is, to work, if you're a fashion designer and then to go into visual merchandise, it's completely different. I mean, you have the ability with understanding colour, how that works, but it's everything we do is all about 3D. Everything is 3D. And there is so much to learn. There is a lot to learn, and I think it's I think people think it's easy, but actually it's not easy. It's not an easy job to get it right. So I think that's quite a hard thing from go to fashion designer into visual merch. You'd have to do some, online course or some kind of course to understand. And also as well, if you understand the format, how it works, and you go for a job like that, you have those keywords to say to them, I understand about perspective, I understand about these kind of things, rather than jumping from fashion design into display. It's very, very, very different. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trishan Vig.
I have one announcement to make. We might disconnect it after 10 minutes, and then you can please reconnect after when you click the link. Please reconnect. All
So,
the participants are,
so
yeah,
you're
yeah.
coming, so you're coming off for 10 minutes?
No, 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 no. The video automatically ends after 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Once it get disconnected, please rejoin it.
Yeah.
Anybody want to ask anything?
Hi, Devi. This is Shruti.
Oh, hello. Shruti. Hello. I met a Shruti here in London.
Hi. So I have this question, like the taste we Indians have and the taste that people in UK have, it's quite different. Like for color combinations. So how does it affect while we display our merchandise, like in London as well as in India when compared together?
I think the rules are exactly the same, whether you're in India, anywhere. The actual rules of how to dress, different formats to apply when dressing a window. So it's the same rules right across the board. There is no difference. There, when I teach it, we teach two forms of dressing: repetition and grouping. And with the knowledge that you have from that, it allows you to apply it in so many other ways. But the basic rule, it's like music. You learn those basic rules that then can be applied in any way. Does that help? Make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more queries?
Anyone else? No?
I have a question. My name is Sunana.
Hello.
Hi. So my question is, so you've been doing this, like you've been a VM for quite a long time. What's that one thing that holds you to this profession even now?
Yeah, I just love it. I love this profession because if you are a character that gets bored quite quickly with just doing one thing, it's one thing that's always, you have to constantly think of new ideas, and it's just it's very exciting. It's, you create something and then it's there for a few months, then it goes. So you constantly having to think about different ways of making, and it affects your whole. It's in my life all the time. Everything I do is all about creating, how I can turn nothing into something. If you work freelance, if you have to come up with an idea for a prop for a window, there is so much you can use and make, and so I absolutely love it. And I do miss I do a little bit of dressing, but not so much now. But and I love it, and I love to see what students do. My students have to create 3D windows, and they do a fantastic job. And I love that. I love what they've done, and so it's, yeah. I am very critical though. That's my downside. But no, it's if you're of a character who gets bored quickly, this is the best job to be in, because it's always different, every job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. This is Aileen.
Well, hello, Leanne.
What would you prefer, being a professional visual merchandiser or a freelancer? I mean, is it worth taking VM as profession, as many brands may not go for VM as they pay high?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
What would you prefer, being a professional visual merchandiser or a freelancer?
I think that the thing is, it's working in a display team is great fun. I've had the best times working with a team. When you work with a team, you have that kind of, you bounce ideas off each other, and I really enjoyed that. But but when you're freelance, you work alone, so a lot of it is. But obviously, when I said before about don't do a job for the money, do it because you love it. When you work for someone, obviously, the money was quite well paid, but it's better when you're freelance. You work for yourself, and you have a lovely variety of work. But anyone who's starting this business should always work for a company first of all, to start off with a company to learn everything, and then you can be freelance, because it gives you that confidence. Okay.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am. I had a question.
Oh, hello. Yes.
My name is Anupam. So I'm asking, like, as we are students, we are learning about VM. So what do we need to do
So I've got back. Got double.
Now, Anupam, please, now you can ask your question.
Okay.
Please
So
unmute. Yeah.
okay.
Please go ahead.
Ma'am, I'm asking, like, what we can do as a student to develop all the required qualities to be a successful VM. Like, what we need to study, what we need to learn.
Well, you need to do courses. I mean, I have a lot of Indian students come from Delhi, who do courses with us at Chelsea, but I also do private teaching as well that come over. We do online teaching as well. If you were to do like an online course, I do online courses, so that would be it's not the same obviously, but it's going through all the kind of the techniques of display. So you definitely need to do a course. You can read. The thing is with our job, you can read every book, look at every video, but unless there's so much, there's a lot of bad information out there. I've seen some things on websites and stuff where you need to actually do a course. I would advise anyone. There's lots of short courses. You don't have to do a 3-year degree. When I started in my job, there was no degree for visual merchandising. Now it's a degree course, which is it's visual merchandising and branding. But really, the short courses, I think, are great because you learn so much in such a short time, and it's practical. So the classes that I do are very practical. So, for example, we go through a syllabus, you'd have to go away, you'd have to create, slowly you have to build up and do different projects and share those projects and build it up to design your own window at the end. And I think that helps you to really understand how it works. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, anybody else? Any more queries?
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Hi, Debbie. This is Pragya.
Hello.
My question is, how important is visual merchandising in fashion?
How important is visual merchandising for a business?
Yes.
Well, example, if you want to open a shop, you're a designer, you've got a lovely collection, you're opening a shop, the window is the face of your store. It's like when we meet someone, you see their face, we make an impression straight away, whether we like them or don't like them. It's the same as the shop window. The shop window has to absolutely 100% be absolutely perfect, because that's the first impression. That's the face of your business, is your window. So it's extremely important to get it absolutely right, because otherwise people look at your window and think, oh, that looks a bit cheap and nasty, but it might not be. I mean, I always say that we have the ability to make the most expensive merchandise look cheap, and the most cheap look expensive by good dressing. So absolutely, I think, anyone opening a shop has to do.
And visual merchandising. Is there any role of visual merchandising in e-commerce?
There's quite an echo. Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
I would like to know the relevance between e-commerce and visual merchandising. e-commerce is growing day by day, and is there any role of visual merchandising for e-commerce?
The visual merchandising, and say that again.
E-commerce, visual merchandising, and e-commerce.
Oh, and e-commerce and visual. Well, I think that needs to be improved. Definitely, I think it's. I think that's definitely something which needs to be kind of more of a link. I think, for instance, for example, if you've done a window which is, say, if you're a larger high street store, whatever you have in your window, say for instance the window is bright yellow, for example, and it's got a positive theme, then I think that should be taken onto e-commerce as well. All links, so it links through, everything starts to link together. Does that make sense? Yep. Hello.
Hello.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, little. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Could you please describe in detail?
Describe. Sorry, say that again.
Please describe this in a bit more detail.
No, different. Quite different. Hello.
Hi, Debbie.
Next query, please.
Hello.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
I have a question.
Yes.
Debbie, I wanted to ask, what are the main components of a good window? You know, when I'm talking about whether it's India or London, anywhere. So what are the key components which are relevant all over the globe?
I think it's good housekeeping. Basically, a really clean, put that message across, very, very cleverly, and not to have confusion. Because the thing is, as I said before, we have just a couple of seconds to quickly look at a window, so you've got to make it very easy on the eye, not complicated. And people used to say to me, people that don't know anything about display would say, well, when you're dressing a window, why is there space this side and why is there space there? You don't fill all the space. It's about training the eye to go where you want it to go. So that's why we teach different formats of how to train the eye so the customer sees everything at one time rather than this kind of confusion of stuff everywhere. And things like, for instance, pricing, ticketing, all of those things. For instance, if you've got a window and you think, oh, the customer needs to see the price, they'll look for it, but you don't need to kind of big kind of like bright coloured, kind of stickers and those kind of things, because what happens, that distracts from what you want the customer to see. So it's all about looking at something. It's a little bit like if you put on a plain dress and then you suddenly put a bright coloured flower on the dress, your eye will go straight to that flower and it won't notice anything else. So that's how it works, if that makes sense. Make sense? I hope.
Yeah, it certainly does. That was a great answer. I have another one for you. So now, if I open an Indian store,
there's a
continue?
There's background noise. Sorry, say that again.
Okay, so if I have to open an Indian store in London, say, and so
there's a couple of people speaking.
Yeah, it's somebody else. It's not from here. It's somebody else. Okay, I think it's clear now.
Yeah, please now.
So I was asking you, if I open an Indian store in London, and I'm selling, say, Indian clothes, so what should be my focus? Like, I have to explain my clothes to people. What should be my focus on?
I think you would struggle because we have huge areas. So it would be, if it's Indian clothing, we have a place called Southall. We've got lots of areas in the UK and London which are like saris and that. So you would have to do something. I think you'd have to do something really, really different to be noticed, because there are a lot of competition. There's a lot of stores. you'd have to perhaps approach it in more of a minimalist way, or do something a little bit different, and research to see what's already here and what isn't here that you could change. So the secret is to do something different to what everyone else is doing, not to copy.
Right. And from your answer, one thing popped up. You said research. So what kind of research helps when I'm going to, create a window?
What kind of, sorry?
Research. What kind of research is going to help me when I'm going to create a window?
I think with research, you've got, if you're asked to do a window, then you obviously research who the customer is, like to say age group of the customer. So you really kind of, if it's kind of young, trendy, young people, you've got to really click into what they like, and something which quickly attracts them. So, and that is the kind of secret to do that, which is research everything, and make sure you have a very good knowledge of visual merchandising. Because, as I say, it's the face of your store, and if it's not done, here where I live, you get a lot of people, women, perhaps, disposable income. They open a shop thinking they know all about fashion. They open a shop, they don't think about their window, and they close within under a year because the customer walks past the store and they see this window that's half done, not very well done, and that is the first impression, and they won't go in the shop, and the shop's closed. So you have to really do, even down to people that want to open a shop. It's not just about visual merchandising, how to merchandise the store, the interior of the store, layout, how to make it easy for customers, to give them that shopping experience. So it's a huge amount of information is needed to get it absolutely right.
Thank you, Debbie. That was a great answer, and I got a lot of insight out of it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, please. Any more questions? Anyone want to ask?
Yeah, I have one more question for Debbie.
Yes. Yes,
As
please.
she mentioned, we should go for very unique ideas for our window displays. So while displaying the merchandise, how do we manage the budget? I know that the budget is allotted by the head office, but once in a while it might go overboard. So how do you manage the budget?
So you manage it as far as the actual dressing of the window, the managing that project, that side of it. Because a lot of, I don't know if this is the right answer, but a lot of stores send out manuals to their shops to show them exactly what to do, how to lay everything out. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, but like most of the stores, they do get the manuals, but some of the stores here, they don't get the manuals, and it's up to the visual merchandiser present in the store to how to display the merchandise and according to his ideas and concepts. So once in a while decorating and going for the props, it might be possible that the allotted budget is not sufficient for them.
Yes, I think that's a kind of dangerous move. If you have more than one shop, I think it used to be that each shop had their own visual merchandiser in store, if it's a big enough shop, or you have an area that the thing is with visual merchandising, the visual merchandiser should be the only person who dresses that window, who touches it. No one else should be able to touch it. Because what you're doing is you're creating a brand image for that store through visual merchandising. And if that's not, so you imagine, for instance, as an example, someone like, say, for instance, Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton, they do amazing windows all over the world. And say, for instance, I'm the new creative director, and I think actually we're not going to spend a lot of money on our windows. We're going to use cheaper materials. We're going to not be so, that would have a profound effect on the brand. So your window, however you start, if you start off with fantastic windows, you've got to continue that all the time, because a customer will notice if it goes down, if someone else starts doing it. So it's controlling, you have to control the kind of the creative side of your store, the windows, to make sure that they always represent you as you would like to be represented. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was really helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, is it important to work on a theme window or without a theme?
Sorry, there's a lot of interference on the line.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, my question is it important to work on a theme window or without a theme window?
Sorry, open back window or closed window?
No, ma'am. Sometimes some people work on a theme window like a Christmas theme, Diwali theme. Is it relevant? Is it affect the customers or without a theme it is more effective?
Sorry, can you say that again? I'm really sorry. It's not very clear.
Ma'am, it is. My question is it more important to work with theme window or without a theme window? With theme, like
A clean
different.
window?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, a clean window. Clean
No,
as
ma'am.
in.
Theme window.
Vanchika, let me.
Okay, okay, sir.
Debbie, she wants to ask, when we design a window, how much important theme will take place? Like when we design a window, is it important to keep certain theme in mind while designing a window?
When you design when you actually design the actual physical window, store window.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but if you've just taken over a shop, for example, then you would the most really important thing is to create a kind of, if you have an open back window, still to create some kind of platform so that it separates from the rest of the shop. And also lighting is really, really, really important to make sure if you're taking over, you've got really good lighting. And that's, we have a track. So with the windows, you should have a track. It's a little bit like a stage, like a theatre, because you've got the tracking. You should have a grid system above you as well that you can work from, because if you want to suspend something, you need to have a grid system. So all these, lots of things to take into consideration if you are opening a shop to actually create a proper window. Just think about a stage. Think of a workable space. It can't just be just place a mannequin there. You think about how you would create, have a base that you would recover or you would paint, lighting. And also when it comes to mannequins, I wouldn't advise anyone to buy mannequins. I would always recommend that you buy Stockmans. They're kind of the headless body shapes, because mannequins they're extremely expensive, but you can get cheap ones, but you're so much better to buy really, really good mannequins or not at all. So I think Stockmans would be a very good thing to use as well. If you're opening a shop, create that window space, lighting, platform, and Stockmans. Does that any help?
Debbie, when we design certain window, do we keep when we design a window, do we keep some theme in our mind? Like according to some theme, like for Christmas, for some festive seasons, we design the window according to the theme.
Yes, yeah, you have. I mean, yeah, like here, as you know, you've got you'd have like Deepavali, you'd have that window for that celebration. You'd have so any celebration you have during the year. We have Easter. You might have other celebrations. Then you have a themed window for that. Definitely, Christmas window. I mean, Christmas windows here in London have to be finished in June, because there's so much preparation. You have to finish it in June, ready to dress in in October, end of October. So it's a lot of preparation for the big stores. But always have in mind, so you're constantly thinking ahead of what you can create. But obviously looking also at your merchandise. So for instance, if the trend is a lovely bright mix of colours, then you think, well, the window scheme you design based on that has to kind of complement it. And I always say to students that with windows, the sky doesn't have to be blue and the grass doesn't have to be green. It's all about fantasy. It's all about what not is normal. Because I get students who design windows that they have there's a tree, there's this, there's that, and we need to do more than that. It's coming away. if you have a tree, you think, right, I'm going to, and the merchandise is all patterned. Do you think you could do the tree in a pattern? You know, so it's really being clever and not doing what's normal to us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, in India, you have the most amazing textiles and braids and so many things that you can do fantastic windows with. Lots of things.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I want
Hello,
to
ma'am.
ask, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. So yeah, is visual merchandising more than window display? Is there any other part that we ignoring? Is it more than a window display, or is restricted to it?
No, it's more. Normally, so you've dressed your window, for example, your lovely T-shirt, for instance, that might be your window, for example. They might be your props. So whatever you have in your window, it really has to relate also to the inside of the store. So in visual merchandising, we don't just look after the window; we look after the inside of the store as well. So whatever scheme you have in the window, then you would continue it onto the shop floor as well. So when you walk into a store, it's better to have something, a space and a window scheme, a display which mirrors what you've done in the window. And that makes customers stop and then go into the store. And it's how you keep them inside with kind of interesting colors.
Is it in our control? The merchandise which have to be in the store, is it in our control? Like, is it in the hands of VM?
Well, what we normally do is we work with the merchandisers. So the merchandisers know what's coming into the store, the new collections, that kind of thing. So we have a meeting with them and buyers, and we have a big meeting. So we know what's going to come into the store. And then our job is to create a scheme which best complements their buying. So that when it's inside the interior of the store, the merchandise will lay everything out. We will come in and then we will do the dressing to complement that particular area that they've dressed.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So, Debbie, we have one question from Karuna, and she's asking, like we know these days we shop from online sites, e-commerce. So, how much it is important for like e-commerce site? Like, can we apply visual merchandising to those sites so that like people come and log into the online shopping sites? And can we imply visual merchandising to e-commerce sites, online shopping sites?
Joe, the thing is, because our job is everything's so three-dimensional, it's quite hard to do that. But I think it's more so with the styling to make, but also to try and link it to the store, because the idea would be is that you would see a store and see the kind of window scheme, think, oh, what a fantastic window, but then the e-commerce should actually follow that through. There's not enough working together. I mean, with all this technology, we're not really linking it enough, and there should be much more of a link between the two. So the idea is we instantly know who the brand is. You should be able to look at it and think, oh, I know that brand. So that's something to be worked on, I think, a lot more.
Any more queries?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, my query is, if I choose VM as a career, so which kind of skills I have to develop except creativity for a better?
Sorry, say that again. It was muted. Say that again.
My query is, if I choose VM as a career, so which kind of skills I have to develop except creativity for better growth in retail industry, and which another skill according to you will help it better?
I think if you choose to do VM, as I said to one of the other students, that you really need to do a course, and really, it's really not, I'm not saying this because of what I do, but you can't just, you need to have, like anything, you need to know the basics to understand how we see things, how our eye works, and how putting things together, and there's a lot to learn. I mean, you can learn the basics, but I would definitely recommend doing a course. Absolutely. Because it's not something you can. If we're going from fashion design, as I say, everything's about, ours is all about 3-dimension. About, it's not just about dressing mannequins. It's about how do you group things, how do you put things together, how do you make props, how do you fix things, how do you. This it just goes on and on and on. All the things that you need to kind of know.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Are you here? Ma'am, when we're going to create the window display for a design store or maybe for the brand, what are the major essential elements in our mind to attract the customer?
Sorry, can you repeat? Sorry, can you repeat that? I'm sorry. It's very
Okay,
muffled.
ma'am.
The sound.
Okay, when we are going to create the window display for our design store or for the brand, so what are the major essential elements and components to keep in our minds to attract the customers or consumers?
So when it comes to merchandise, picking merchandise for the window, is that what you were saying?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the picking of merchandise is normally the visual merchandiser works with the buyer or say in your case a designer. Say for instance you design something, then you work with the visual merchandiser and how they would enhance that. So we normally pick the stock, we normally pick the pieces, but you kind of work together. But from our point of view, if you're choosing, if there's certain things you want in the window, then the pieces have to work together, the colours have to work. So I would disagree with you, for example, if you said you wanted to put 2 colours which completely clash and don't work together. So it's that kind of, you work with each other. Does that answer your question? Hello?
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 Hello, ma'am. Sorry for my bad network connection. Actually, I'm asking you what are the major elements and components to attract the customers in visual merchandising?
Sorry, the line is. Can someone else repeat that? Nearby, can you repeat that for me, please?
Yes, yes. He's basically asking what factors we can use to attract more customers to our window. Like,
okay.
Can we use bright colors or any props?
I think it's it's good dressing. It's working the props with the merchandise and not cluttering your window. Don't clutter it. You keep it very simple, but so the customer's eye travels all the way through the display to see everything quickly. So a lot of people think if you put lots of merchandise in the window, customers do not have time to stand at a window and look at every single piece. They want a quick fix. They want it to be quick, look at it, see everything quickly. So it's all about grouping, flow of colour, balance of colour and perspective. Lovely using all the depth of the window. So yeah, that helps.
So it's basically less is more.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it is, for sure.
Debbie, I have one more question. Hello, Debbie.
Yes.
I have one question. Which visual design elements do you use just to create the sketch and floor plans of the display areas?
So, did you say that again?
Which visual elements do you use to create sketches and floor plans of the display areas? Being a visual merchandiser.
The technique of dressing would depend on the brand. So we apply different dressings to different, because our responsibility is to create that brand image through your windows. So the kind of dressing we apply would depend on the actual brand. So for example, if you had, if it was selling plants, for example, then you wouldn't do a kind of a what we call pyramid dressing. You do like a repetition dressing. So that's much more of a kind of minimalist type style dressing. So we really, that's why with VM you've got to really, really look at the product, understand the brand to apply the right dressing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Krishan?
Yes, of course. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any more queries, please? We're running short of time, so if you have any queries, please ask.
Yes, I have one. Debbie,
Yeah, please.
can you share with us some online resources where we can sitting here, we can, view some wonderful windows or some other online resources, work of other visual merchandiser who are internationally famous and whom we can get inspired from?
There's a very good book by a man called Tony Morgan that you can access online. And just basic display techniques. There's lots of information out there, but it's not always correct because we have social media. Everyone can put anything that they want on. There's a lot of things put on that are not quite, right. So there's lots of books and different things, but there are, as I say, there are online courses. I mean, I do online courses as well. So it's something that that's where you actually physically have to do the work yourself. To understand it, because I think the thing is, it's with this situation at the moment, it's hard. We normally work in a classroom, which is great, but because our work is it's not a practical class. It's very, very, very. It's online. Sorry. It's not. It's very, very practical.
Vice versa.
Yeah, everything you do. Yeah, it's all about building things, making things, that kind of thing. So, which you can't get that from a book. You can't get that from us. So you have to it's good to actually make things and actually share them. So, yeah. So think about, there are, anyway, yeah, sorry.
I was just asking, I got a project of, researching about 10, the biggest visual merchandising trends of 2019 or something like that. So it was such a confusion. Like you said, there is so much of random information available on internet. So that is why I was saying that, can you suggest some authentic resources, any websites or something where I can go and research and get some valid information about visual merchandising?
I think actually imagery, Pinterest do some very good images of different windows. If you look at the big companies, what they do, the big stores, the American stores, and I think a very good discipline is Zara. I think Zara do a really good discipline with visual merchandising, and the thing is, there's lots of good information and there's lots of bad information out there. So it's really, and there's the Tony Morgan. If you look up Tony Morgan, he's very good. Yes. His book's got a very, very good book, which I think is probably one of the best books about VM.
That's a great help actually, Debbie. Now there is another thing I want to ask, that like in fashion we have trends, we have color palettes and everything, so it must be similar in case of visual merchandising also. So how does that work for visual merchandising?
Well, visual merchandise always work on what's trending. I mean, that's the most important thing. You've got to be totally on the ball. What's trending now? What's to do? Fashion, not just fashion.
Please mute.
Yeah, home interiors and architecture, all of those things. There's much information. Looking at future trends, all the colours now are much darker, and all of those things for you to know about. And even when it comes to what's on trend for makeup, what's on trend for all these things, help for you to kind of put together the right kind of scheme that people totally relate to.
I have made an observation over the past 10 years. There has been a huge change in the kind of materials that have been used in visual merchandising. These days, they are not using much conservative material. So, is there planning behind? What kind of planning, or is there a hierarchy behind it, like a body that plans what kind of materials will be used in coming years or something like that?
I think materials everyone's much more into sustainability now. Obviously, they're concerned about the wastage. We did have a huge amount of wastage when I was in display. A lot of stuff we made from fiberglass, which is not good. So I think there's a lot of they try to reuse things as much as possible. But it is quite hard to do that because obviously some things can't be recycled or can't be. So it's with ideas. Some of the most simplest are so effective.
Don't cry. I don't cry. Yes.
Thank you, Debbie. That was helpful. Thank you so much.
Do we have some more queries or shall we wind up? Anybody wants to ask anything? Please mute your mics, please. There's lots of disturbance. Can you please mute your mic?
Debbie, actually, I have one more question. Can I ask?
Yes.
As you just said about sustainability, so because sustainability, it's a lot of disturbance. Nirbhay, can you please
Yes.
mute everyone?
I think we've got a child online.
Yes, ma'am. Now you can ask.
Yeah, thank you. So I was asking, as the sustainability, everybody's talking about it. So you also talked about alternative materials and everything. But what do you think? How much time it will take for all the brands and big brands, especially who are very specific about their brand image? Are they very receptive to the sustainable options, or they just want to go with the conventional options?
I think they are going to the sustainable options. I know that a lot of them are, even mannequins, a lot of the mannequins are being used for, actually, they're broken down and they use them for, the cones in the road. Very strange, but they are recycled. A lot of the mannequins are broken down and recycled. But it's very, very difficult. They all say, it's the same with fashion. They say it's sustainable, but it isn't really. It might mean that they don't use chemicals on cotton plants or something. It's not really. We're a long way from that, I think. The only thing is to reuse some of the materials they have, but it's very, very difficult to. They say they're trying to be sustainable, but I think as we all know, it is very difficult to be completely sustainable. And but that's a way of being creative. That's a way of coming up with new ideas and coming up with new ways of reusing props. I mean, we used to use our props again and again sometimes, but the problem is storage. That's another thing. Here in the UK, in London, there's no storage space, so it's easy for them to get rid of their props. So that is the problem.
Right, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more queries? I think we don't have any more queries.
Debbie, can you share your email so that we can connect with you later if we have any more queries?
Sorry, say that?
Pasta.
I said, can you share your email?
Pasta नहीं होता है ऐसा वाला.
Nirbhay sir, please.
Botai pasta.
Guys, please put your mics on mute mode. You're creating a disturbance. Now, please, you can ask. Actually, everybody's asking. Yeah, please go.
So I was just asking if you can share your email so that we can further have, if we need some information, we can get in touch with you. Is that okay with you?
Well, actually, I'm doing online.
How light and color complement each other in a window display?
How can you complement? Sorry, say that. It's very, very, not very.
Color complement each other in a window display.
What to complement each other? The
light And a color.
The lighting and colours.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the thing is, before you start, you would actually the main. As I said before, the most important thing is your merchandise. So the merchandise is your guideline to your colour scheme. So whatever colours, so for instance, if you pick up a pattern, whatever colours are in that pattern, the merchandise, that is your guideline to work outwards from there. So your prop and your everything and your flooring colour and everything has to complement those colours. Is that?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any more queries? Anyone wants to ask? I think it's done.
Okay. It was very interesting talking to you all, and I hope it was of help.
Yeah, it was a really great help, Debbie. Thank you so much for your time. It was
Yeah.
very, very informative. Like, it was a wonderful chatting with you.
Yep.
And it's a complete pleasure.
Good. That's good. And if you want to do anything online, then just let me know, and we can. So, because normally I do the program purely for each person, each kind of group. They're not all the same, depending on what your needs are, that kind of thing, or with basics, or it could be interior of the store, that kind of thing. So just let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, sure. We'll plan something and I'll mail you. And thank you for your time. Thank you once again.
Yeah,
it was
and
really
it's good night to you, isn't it?
yeah, it's like it's 6:30 p.m. Not like it's evening time. Yeah.